In the heart of the battle, young pilot Jaren led his squadron through a hail of energy fire, destroying enemy ships with daring precision. "For humanity!" he shouted, his voice carrying through the comms. Every human ship moved as one, every life and action part of a single unstoppable force. The Xiran had thought themselves supreme, but they had never faced humans who fought not for power, but for life itself. By the end of the engagement, the tide had turned. The Xiran armada, once arrogant and fearless, now retreated in disorder, their pride shattered and their morale broken. Humanity had proven something undeniable. Courage, unity, and spirit could overcome even the greatest odds. And as the humans regrouped above Veralia, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Legends had arrived not in whispers or tales, but in living, breathing ships of courage. Humanity was here, and the galaxy would never forget it. The battlefield stretched endlessly, a war-torn canvas of light and shadow. The Xiran armada, once unshakable, now quivered under the relentless assault of the human fleet. Ships twisted and burned, energy shields collapsing in showers of sparks. Space itself seemed alive with the fury and courage of humanity. Yet even in victory, the humans knew the cost of their defiance. Every maneuver, every shot carried risk, and every life mattered. Captain Mara Vey stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her hands gripping the railing as she scanned the chaos before her. The Xiran flagship loomed ahead, massive and threatening, its weapons bristling with deadly power. Mara knew that if the flagship remained, the alien fleet could regroup. The humans could not allow that. She turned to her officers, her voice calm but sharp. "This is our chance. We strike at their command. We end this now, or countless lives will be lost." Lieutenant Rian, though battered and bruised, nodded. "We're with you, Captain. Whatever it takes." Across the fleet, human ships tightened formation, ready for a maneuver that would test every ounce of courage they possessed. Every crew member understood the stakes. This was not only a battle, it was a statement. Humanity would not bow, would not yield, and would protect the innocent at any cost. Below decks, Engineer Lyra and her team worked frantically to repair the Resolute's systems. Sparks flew, hull plates groaned, and the ship trembled under fire. Yet Lyra moved with steady hands, her focus unwavering. "We survive because we fight for each other," she whispered. "Every life matters. Every heartbeat counts." Around her, other crew members repeated the same devotion, their courage binding the fleet as one unstoppable force. The humans launched their daring strike. Fighters darted through bursts of enemy fire, weaving with precision and daring. Mara guided the Resolute directly toward the Xiran flagship, shields flaring as they absorbed energy blasts. Explosions rocked the bridge, but Mara's determination never wavered. "Hold steady," she commanded. "For the lives we protect, for the legends we prove real." The flagship's defenses faltered under the human assault. Energy beams struck its weapon arrays, shattering them, while boarding craft infiltrated its interior, sowing chaos and confusion. The Xiran commanders scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Humanity's courage was a storm no calculations could contain. Amid the attack, Lieutenant Ryan led a squadron to intercept reinforcements. His ship took heavy fire, systems failing, yet he pressed forward. In a final heroic act, he rammed a crippled Xiran cruiser into an energy generator, triggering a massive explosion. His sacrifice saved dozens of human fighters and countless lives on the colony below. As his ship broke apart, a silence filled his cockpit, a quiet honor in knowing his actions mattered. On the bridge, Mara watched the climax unfold. With the flagship's systems failing and its crew in disarray, she ordered the final strike. Energy cascaded into the alien vessel, and with a deafening roar it erupted in a blinding explosion, sending debris scattering across space. The remaining Xiran ships, leaderless and demoralized, retreated in disarray, abandoning their plans of conquest. As silence fell over the battlefield, Mara sank into the railing, exhaustion and relief washing over her. Tears streaked her soot-covered face. "They thought humans were legends," she whispered, voice shaking with emotion. "And maybe we were, until now. But we are real, and we fight for life, for hope, for each other." Around her, the fleet exhaled collectively. Humans had triumphed not only through skill and technology, but through courage, unity, and the willingness to make sacrifices for the greater good. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans were more than stories, they were unstoppable forces of heart and spirit. And as the stars stretched into quiet brilliance, the humans above Virelia prepared to aid the survivors below. The cost had been high, but the message was clear. Humanity had arrived. Legends were alive, but humans were even greater, and the galaxy would never doubt their existence again. The battle was over, but its echoes lingered across the stars. Smoke and debris drifted through space. Remnants of the Xeran armada scattered like shattered dreams. Above the red plains of Virelia, the human fleet hovered in quiet vigilance, shields flickering as systems cooled. Humanity had survived, triumphed, and proven the galaxy wrong. They were no longer whispered legends. They were real, unstoppable, and fearless. Captain Mara Vey stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her hands resting on the railing as she looked out at the fleet. Exhaustion pressed on her shoulders, but a quiet pride lifted her heart. Every ship, every crew member had given everything. They had faced fear and danger and had chosen to rise above it. "We fight not for glory," she whispered softly, "but for those who cannot fight for themselves. For hope, for life, for humanity." On Virelia, survivors emerged from shelters and rubble, blinking at the sky in disbelief. Families embraced, tears mixing with dust and sweat. Children ran to see the ships that had saved their world. They had never believed legends could become reality. Yet here they were, massive and gleaming, alive with humanity's courage and spirit. The miners, the civilians, even the colony's leaders fell silent for a moment, hearts full of awe. Lieutenant Ryan's squadron, those who had survived the fiercest attacks, regrouped near the Resolute. They carried heavy hearts for those lost in battle. Yet the knowledge of their victory gave them a strange, bittersweet strength. Young pilot Jaren, his flight suit scorched and battered, stood at the edge of the hangar bay looking at the stars. "We fought and we won," he whispered. "Not because we wanted war, but because we had to. Humanity doesn't quit. We never do." Below decks, Engineer Lyra wiped sweat and grime from her face, her hands still trembling slightly from the stress of repairs and the firestorm outside. She looked at her fellow engineers and smiled faintly. "We survived because we believed in each other," she said. "Not because we were perfect, but because we never gave up. That is who we are." Around her, the quiet murmur of agreement filled the corridors, a testament to the shared courage that had won the day. News of the human victory spread faster than any fleet could travel. Across distant worlds, species who had doubted humans whispered in awe. They spoke of courage, sacrifice, and heart. They spoke of a fleet that moved as one, of humans who fought for life and hope rather than power. Humanity had entered the galaxy not as conquerors, but as legends of courage made real. On the bridge, Mara allowed herself a moment to reflect. Lives had been lost, yes, but countless more were saved. The cost was heavy, but the message was clear. Humans were a force unlike any other. They were not merely myths told to frighten children or entertain travelers. They were living proof that bravery, unity, and compassion could change the course of history. The stars above Virelia seemed brighter that night, as if witnessing the birth of a new chapter in the galaxy's story. Mara's fleet prepared to leave, not to conquer, but to protect and explore, to show the galaxy that humanity's spirit could endure any threat. And somewhere, beyond the horizon of known space, other species began to ask the same question. If humans were this strong, what else could they accomplish? Mara turned to her officers and crew. "We have done more than fight today," she said softly. "We have shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. Remember this moment, carry it with you, and never forget why we fight. Not for ourselves, but for everyone who needs us." Around her, the crew nodded, faces tired but shining with pride and determination. The galaxy had seen humans as legends. Now they had seen humans as reality. And wherever fear or doubt lingered, humans would arrive again, unstoppable, courageous, and full of heart. Humanity had written its place among the stars, not with arrogance, but with courage, unity, and sacrifice. As the human fleet departed Virelia, heading toward the endless dark of space, one truth remained. The galaxy would never forget the day humans appeared. Legends had walked among the stars, but humans had made those legends real. And the universe would remember forever. In the far reaches of the galaxy, among the countless stars and swirling nebulae, civilizations whispered of humans. They spoke in quiet tones, almost afraid that saying the name aloud might summon something unstoppable. Humans, they said, were fierce and clever, unpredictable and unyielding. Some claimed humans had once fought entire fleets and survived against impossible odds. Others said they were only a myth, a story to scare children, a shadow in the endless dark of space. Yet the whispers persisted. On the edge of the Sarath sector, the Ziran armada prepared for war. Their sleek black cruisers lined up like predators waiting to strike. The Ziran were confident. They had faced countless enemies, crushed planets, and taken colonies with ease. Their commander, Admiral Thal, looked over his fleet with a smirk of certainty. "There is no human here," he told his lieutenants. "Nothing but legend. We will crush this colony, and no one will ever stop us." His voice carried through the command bridge, firm and unshakable. Meanwhile, on the mining planet of Viralia, the people worked tirelessly, unaware of the storm approaching. They had heard the tales of humans as myths, distant stories that could not possibly touch their lives. Children played among the mineral towers, laughing in the dust of the red plains. Families gathered in their small homes, sharing simple meals. They did not know that the whispers of legend were about to become reality. Far above Viralia, a small signal blinked across the galaxy. It was faint, almost lost among the stars, but it carried a warning that would change everything. "Humans are coming," it read, simple and clear. On the surface, the miners had no way to understand its meaning, but in the void of space, it was enough. It stirred something deep in the hearts of those who still believed in courage, in hope, in the idea that one species could rise against impossible odds. Admiral Thal, in his arrogance, ignored the signal. He believed in numbers, in firepower, in strategy. "No story will stop us," he said, tapping the holographic map of the sector. His fingers traced the path that would bring destruction to Viralia. His fleet moved with precision, confident that nothing could match the Ziran armada's might. "Legends do not exist," he repeated, as if saying it aloud would make it true. But somewhere far beyond, hidden in the dark corridors of deep space, the humans prepared. Captain Mara Vey of the battleship Resolute studied the star maps, her green eyes sharp, unwavering. Humanity had always been underestimated. The galaxy had never taken humans seriously, except in fearful stories whispered across planets. Mara knew that this was exactly the advantage they needed. She turned to her crew, her voice calm but firm. "They do not believe we exist. Good, let them doubt. Legends are strongest when they are unseen. When we arrive, they will understand who we are. Prepare for jump." The crew moved with quiet efficiency, but beneath the discipline lay excitement. For some, this was their first battle. For others, it was another mission in a lifetime of fighting against overwhelming odds. Yet every human aboard the Resolute understood the stakes. They were the ones the galaxy had whispered about for centuries. They were the legends, and now those legends would become reality. As the human fleet prepared to leave hyperspace, the stars ahead stretched and blurred. Time and distance twisted around them, but within the minds of every crew member, clarity remained. They were not just humans. They were protectors, warriors, survivors, and when they emerged, the galaxy would never doubt their existence again. Far below, on the red plains of Viralia, a storm approached that none could see. And in that silence before the storm, only one thing was certain. Legends were about to come to life. The human battleship Resolute drifted silently through the darkness of space, a giant among the stars, yet moving with the quiet grace of a predator. Captain Mara Vey stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic star map. Lines of light traced the paths of distant fleets, flickering indicators of danger. The Sarath sector was alive with the movements of the Ziran armada. They did not know humans were coming. They did not know what was waiting for them. Mara's hands rested lightly on the console. She felt the weight of her crew, the civilians counting on them, the colonies relying on their arrival. Humanity had always been underestimated. No one took humans seriously. Across the galaxy, alien species laughed at the idea that these fragile, unpredictable creatures could stand against fleets of war-hardened invaders. Yet every person aboard the Resolute carried within them a strength born of survival, courage, and unshakable unity. Lieutenant Ryan, Mara's second-in-command, moved quietly beside her, reviewing the fleet's readiness reports. "Captain," he said, his voice steady, "all units report full combat readiness. Shields are at maximum. weapons systems online and hyperjump coordinates confirmed. His eyes flickered to the viewports, the distant stars stretching in impossible streaks as they approached jump. They won't know what hit them. Mara nodded, a quiet smile touching her lips. Good, she said softly. Let them doubt. Let them believe humans are just stories. When they see us, they will understand what legends truly mean. Her words carried through the bridge, touching every member of the crew. Hope and determination surged in their hearts. They were not just going to fight. They were going to remind the galaxy why humanity endured. Below decks, engineers worked tirelessly. Lyra, a young engineer with soot-streaked cheeks, moved among the glowing consoles, repairing and recalibrating systems. Sparks flew and alarms occasionally blared, but her hands were steady, her focus unwavering. We survive, she whispered to herself, because we fight for each other, not for glory. Around her, the hum of machinery and the steady rhythm of human determination filled the corridors. Outside, the void of space stretched endlessly. Stars glittered like diamonds against black velvet, and yet beyond the beauty, danger waited. The Xeran armada had begun their approach toward Viralia, confident and arrogant, unaware that humans were fast approaching. They believed in numbers, in their fleets, in the experience they had built over centuries. They did not believe in courage, in unpredictability, in human resolve, and that belief was about to cost them dearly. Mara took a deep breath, feeling the quiet tension settle over the ship like a cloak. All units, prepare for jump in 10 minutes, she commanded. The crew moved with practiced precision, checking and double-checking. Even the youngest cadets understood the gravity of the moment. They were about to enter a war zone where no one expected them, where every human life would count and where legends were about to be proven real. As the countdown began, Mara's mind drifted for a moment. She remembered stories from Earth, tales of battles fought with courage, of people standing against impossible odds, of humanity surviving when no one believed they could. The same spirit now surged through every member of her fleet. Humanity was underestimated, yes, but they were never defeated, and they would prove it today. The jump engines roared to life, stretching the stars into brilliant streaks. Light twisted around the Resolute, and for a heartbeat, silence held the galaxy in suspense. Then in an instant, the fleet was gone from the known universe, traveling faster than the Xeran could imagine. Somewhere in the darkness, the first whispers of fear began among the alien scouts. Something was coming. Something real. Something they had only heard about in stories. And it was not coming to negotiate. It was coming to fight, to defend, and to remind the galaxy why humans were more than legend. They were unstoppable. And in that quiet moment, before the storm of battle began, every human aboard the Resolute felt it. The calm before the storm was not peace. It was anticipation. It was the heartbeat of history about to be written. The black void of space suddenly erupted with movement. Sensors aboard the Resolute blared, signaling the presence of the Xeran armada ahead. Hundreds of alien warships, sleek and deadly, glimmered against the stars like a swarm of predatory insects. The Xeran were confident, arrogant in their power. They had never faced humans. They believed legends were nothing but stories. And now the humans had arrived. On the bridge, Captain Mara Vey's hands rested lightly on the console, her green eyes calm but burning with determination. All units, hold formation, she commanded. Target lead ships and disable their weapons first. Remember, we fight to protect, not to destroy more than we must. Let precision be our strength. Her voice was steady, but beneath it carried the weight of responsibility for every life depending on her decisions. Lieutenant Ryan's fingers flew across the controls. Captain Xeran fleet is converging on Viralia. Estimated time to intercept 15 minutes. His voice carried a mix of urgency and awe. Even the most experienced humans felt a chill. These were formidable enemies, the kind that had crushed entire colonies before. Yet the fear that should have gripped them was replaced by something stronger: determination. Mara turned to the tactical hologram. Lines of energy flickered across the display, mapping the alien formations. They rely on numbers and predictability, she said softly. We rely on courage, and that is something they cannot calculate. Prepare the fleet for phased assault. Every officer nodded, understanding the strategy. They were humans. They adapted. They improvised. They never gave up. The first salvos streaked through space, brilliant trails of blue and red fire lighting the darkness. The Resolute fired its main cannons with precise accuracy, striking the lead Zirin cruisers. Explosions blossomed across the enemy formation, shaking the very void. Alien alarms screamed in warning. "Impossible!" bellowed Admiral Corrin aboard the Zirin flagship. "Humans cannot exist here. They are myths." Yet the humans were real. They moved as one, coordinated but unpredictable, a living storm of strategy and courage. Fighters weaved through the enemy's lines, dodging energy blasts with daring maneuvers that seemed reckless, but always worked. Mara watched the tactical hologram, her jaw tight. "Remember who we fight for," she reminded her officers. "Not for fame, not for glory, for every innocent life that cannot fight for itself." Amid the chaos, young pilot Jaren led a squadron of interceptors, skimming the edge of enemy fire. He felt the tremor of engines under strain, the heat of battle in his veins. "We fight not because it is easy," he thought, "but because it must be done." Every maneuver, every shot, every narrow escape wove a story of human courage that no alien legend had ever prepared for. Back on the bridge, Mara's heart pounded as the Zirin tried to encircle them. "Focus fire on their flagship," she ordered. "Break their formation. Show them that humans do not fear numbers." The fleet obeyed, moving with synchronicity that was almost artistic, each ship covering another. Each shot precise and devastating. The first wave of Zirin cruisers fell apart under human fire, sparks and debris drifting into the void. The alien fleet faltered, confusion rippling through their command. "We have underestimated them," cried one Zirin officer. Panic began to spread where once there was arrogance. Humans were not legends anymore. They were real, alive, and deadly. The galaxy had told them that humans were stories. Now humans were the storm that tore myths apart. As the first wave of battle ended, Mara looked out into space, her face illuminated by the explosions and distant starlight. "They thought we were legends," she whispered. "And maybe we were—" until now. Around her, the crew exhaled collectively, the tension breaking but only slightly. They had made first contact, and it was more than a fight, it was a declaration. Humanity had arrived, and somewhere in the trembling heart of the Zirin armada, doubt began to grow. The battlefield of space was a storm of light and fire. Explosions lit up the darkness, and debris from shattered ships drifted like cold stars. The Zirin armada, once proud and confident, now flinched at every movement of the human fleet. Yet the fight was far from over. The humans knew this was not just about strategy. It was about courage, sacrifice, and the will to protect the innocent. On Virelia, the miners watched the distant glow of battle, hearts pounding. They had never seen humans, only heard stories whispered across the galaxy. Now those legends were alive, moving through the void with precision and determination. Every flash of light from the sky meant a human fighter had struck down a deadly enemy. Every ship maneuver a testament to human resilience. Lieutenant Ryan led a squadron tasked with defending a group of transport ships carrying the colony's civilians. Suddenly, a Zirin strike craft broke through the human lines, heading straight for the transports. Ryan's heart surged. "Hold your formation," he commanded, his voice steady but urgent. Pilots shifted their ships into attack position, engines screaming. Ryan pushed his fighter forward, weaving between laser fire. The enemy craft was faster, but he relied on human instinct and training. "For Virelia."
"For Earth!"
he shouted even as the first shots grazed his hull. Sparks flew across his cockpit. He gritted his teeth, dodging another blast. Then with a sudden burst of speed, he collided with the alien ship, sending it careening into an asteroid belt. The sacrifice saved the transports, but Ryan's fighter was badly damaged. He knew he would not make it back. As he looked out at the stars one last time, a strange calm filled him. Humanity had won this moment, and that was enough. "We fight not because we are fearless," he whispered, "but because we must protect those who cannot." On the Resolute, Captain Mara Vey watched the battle unfold, heart tight with pride and worry. Every human was giving their all, and yet every action carried risk. "Hold the line," she called, her voice echoing across the fleet. "Remember why we fight. Every life we save is a victory." Around her, officers relayed orders, pilots and crews working as one living organism, adapting to every threat. Meanwhile, young engineer Lyra moved through the damaged corridors of the Resolute, repairing power conduits under fire. Sparks lit her determined face and her hands moved faster than fear could take hold. "We survive because we fight together," she muttered, tightening a critical circuit. Every human on board was part of the story being written in the stars. Every life mattered. Every sacrifice counted. The Ziran, confused and shaken, tried to regroup. Their pride faltered as their ships were destroyed with precise, unstoppable force. Admiral Karan could not understand it. "They are only humans," he barked at his officers. "They cannot be this coordinated, this fearless." But the humans' courage was a force of nature, impossible to calculate, impossible to predict. As explosions lit the void, Mara's voice rose above the comms. "Push forward. Protect the colony. Every human ship moves as one. Strike where they least expect it." And the humans did. Each ship became part of a living storm of defiance. Every maneuver, every shot, every daring sacrifice proved that humans were more than legends. They were unstoppable. For a moment, in the heart of battle, the galaxy witnessed something extraordinary. Humans fought not for conquest, not for power, not for fame. They fought for others. They fought for hope. They fought because it was the right thing to do. And in that moment, the Ziran Armada began to see the truth that their myths had never prepared them for. As Part 4 drew to its close, the first signs of a turning tide appeared. Human courage had sparked doubt in their enemies, and the storm of battle was far from over. But one thing was clear. In the heart of this fight, humanity's spirit shone brighter than the stars themselves. The battlefield of space was chaos and brilliance intertwined. Explosions painted the darkness with fire and light, while wreckage from the Ziran ships drifted silently like fallen stars. But amid the chaos, humanity moved with precision, courage, and an unshakable determination that no alien force could predict. Captain Mara Vey stood on the bridge of the Resolute, her eyes scanning the tactical display. Lines of glowing light indicated the positions of every ship, human and alien alike. "Focus fire on the remaining cruisers," she commanded. "Break their formation and protect the colony at all costs. Let them feel that humans fight for life, not for conquest." Her voice carried calm authority, but beneath it burned fierce resolve. Lieutenant Ryan, though scarred from earlier encounters, rallied his squadron. "We push forward," he shouted into the comms. "We fight together. Every ship counts, every move matters." The young pilots responded with courage, weaving between blasts of alien energy with skill and determination. Each human fighter moved as if guided by instinct and courage, striking with precision that even the Ziran could not anticipate. The aliens tried to adapt. "They are too coordinated," cried one Ziran officer. "No fleet should fight like this. They are only humans. This is impossible." Yet the humans continued to press, attacking in waves, unpredictable, fearless. The Ziran formation faltered, confusion rippling through their ranks. For the first time they realized the legends were true, and worse, that they were being destroyed by them. Below decks on the Resolute, Engineer Lyra worked tirelessly, repairing damage as the ship shuddered under fire. Sparks flew around her, but she moved with quiet determination. "We survive because we care for each other," she whispered, reconnecting a power conduit. Around her, other crew members did the same, each person contributing to the strength of the fleet. Humanity's advantage was not just technology, it was spirit, teamwork, and the refusal to surrender. In a daring maneuver, Mara ordered a strike directly at the Ziran flagship. "Disrupt their command," she said. "If their leadership falls, the rest will crumble." Human ships surged forward, forming a coordinated assault that struck the alien flagship from every angle. Energy shields flared and then collapsed under precise bombardment, forcing the Ziran to retreat in disorder. As the flagship staggered, smaller alien cruisers attempted to escape. Human fighters pursued relentlessly, cutting off their paths, forcing them into traps and asteroid fields. Every Ziran ship destroyed became a symbol, a proof that humans were no longer legends, they were unstoppable. And with every victory, the humans' confidence grew. They fought not out of hatred, but out of duty, courage, and love for those who could not defend themselves. Amid the chaos, Mara watched with a mix of pride and sorrow. She knew every battle carried risk and every victory cost lives, but humanity's resolve never wavered. "They underestimate us," she whispered. "They thought we were myths. Now they will see what humans can do when they fight for each other." Even the Ziran began to feel fear. Admiral Corin's face was pale as he barked orders. Regroup, reform. We cannot lose to humans. But his fleet was broken, scattered, and terrified. The legends were alive, real, and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined.